especially your offlaner. And I guess in this case, it's the safe lane is going to help so much. As Ice already has a lot to deal with, but in this bottom lane, I mean, this is the interesting thing for me. How often do we see the IO played in the safe lane? But
already grabbing Big Daddy. He's so far away, but the right click is still there. And now Misery is trapped up against 3 heroes. He will be able to run down River and will be fine. Judging that, they've already lost their Wisp. Is it still worth it? Cloud9 running an aggro tri-lane here and leaving Bone 7 a favorable lane like this. Is the trade-off worth it, Blitz?
I think they just kind of have to stick with it at this point in the game. Like, there's nowhere else for them to really go. The Bane can just rotate around, which I guess is the next best thing for him to do. And Super's being harassed pretty hard, and he's going to go for the rune at top, but Misery does want to try to get aggressive, but they have a ward right there. And the problem right now is that FI denies the rune right in front of No-Tail, and he actually really needed that. He started using most of his bottle charges. He only has 1 left, and how often do you see a lane with gyrocopter tri-lane on tri-lane lose?
Yeah, it's very rare, and just all that pick off on the Wisp early on, and now him not being able to have any offensive power whatsoever in this lane, just the tether by itself. I have to say, I keep looking up to this lane, and I'm loving what Ice is doing here. Every single time he's trying to utilize cogs to push back Bone 7 and burn away his Fire Spirit's mana, which is the most dangerous part of the Phoenix, obviously. Especially level 3 and level 5, it's really big power levels for Phoenix in a 1 versus 1 scenario. Just the damage over time is so extreme, especially when you already have that range versus melee advantage. It's tough for Ice to survive in that lane, but burning the Phoenix's mana is the best way to go, and he just keeps on punishing Bone 7.
Yeah, and he actually gets his salve canceled. And if you just take a look at the difference in CS right now, Ice, who started out with just boots, 1 set of regen, is already up to 13, really close to the top of the game, and the Phoenix is just at 9 right now, so none of the lanes are going too well for C9 Gaming.
I love the choice by him to go for the bottle. I think that is so smart, especially since he's already out of his regeneration. He seems to be doing very well for himself. He's keeping Bone 7.
Oh, he's going to get aggressive here.
Yeah, he tries to force it. The Phoenix Dive is there. And Battery Assault, very good against Phoenix Dive. Able to get that mini stun in to be able to stop it. So Bone 7 really going to have to keep his space here. Just completely unable to establish any dominance in lane without a lack of mana.
Yeah, and this is the dream scenario for Vici Gaming. Ice of all players gets a one-on-one matchup. It doesn't really matter what he is. He's just going to outskill you. That's the type of player that he is. The mechanical skill for him is there to pretty much play any lane, any role. And we're seeing that on display, but in this mid lane, the Shadow Fiend is starting to catch up now. And this isn't a hero that you typically associate with Dota, but he's doing a really good job of keeping up with CS. Hasn't really been pressured too much. So for me, it's this bottom lane that's a little bit of cause for concern, because Envy getting aggressive right now, but they have to really dominate this lane to kind of make up for what's going on at top.
Yeah, 14-0 on How right now, CSY 21-1. Uh-oh, Bone 7, he's been caught here, and that Battery Assault doesn't matter if the attack speed is slow. Ice will get the damage anyway with the Battery Assault. Big Daddy even rotating over just to make sure, seeing if he can actually save Bone 7, but not the case. And Ice is now going to rotate over. He's got his level 6 coming in soon. Misery is actually going to go up top lane. Looks like they just want to run a defensive tri lane now. Oh, that was close. Ice almost pushing Misery up onto that cliff.
He's just being a nuisance right now. And this is a Bane that's level 2, right? He'll stack one more time and then go back to the base, but you're still just wasting more time. And C9 isn't going to be happy with how to laning phase 1 at all. They eventually rotate because the gyrocopter just isn't getting enough at bottom to warrant what's happening at top. Like, the fact that the clockwork is even in CS right now with the gyrocopter is pretty insane. And the fact is that even if they rotate up here, Ice is still liable to kill pretty much anybody one-on-one. Like, he's about to hit his level 6. He's playing pretty greedy for it, but it's going to be really difficult for them to pressure him when he can pretty much just turn around and kill him.
Yeah, because of the aggro tri-lane, they haven't been able to stack up for the SF, and because he's Dire side, he's unlikely to be able to stack for himself. You can see maybe he goes and does it now, but it's just too much of a distance, right? That's the big advantage of a Radiant side SF. You don't necessarily need that extra support to help you out with stacks.
Yeah, and right now, Super can't really pressure him, but again, we've talked about it time and time again. It's not the fact that you're getting out CS by an SF that matters. Like, the SF is naturally supposed to be ahead of you. Because of the way that the hero is played, you just have to build defensive items. So you're meant to be a little bit ahead, just because you want that faster BKB.
Oh, jump it! Oh! Misses out on the hook shot.
Still might get him, though. He's just fine.
Yeah, it's not there in time, especially with Ice going with the maxed out Battery Assault build. Wouldn't have the damage from the rocket anyway, but still, Vici Gaming going to be very happy with that exchange. already establishing dominance in the static part of the laning phase, and now as heroes start moving around, they still are finding openings.
Honestly, to me, yesterday in the Navi game, Ice was a little bit disappointing. I'm used to just seeing him be the best offlaner in the world, maybe the exception of Universe, and I think he even said yesterday, he was like, thanks for carrying me, team, but it seems like today, she's on the opposite.
Raise 1, raise 2, raise 3, all on the mark. Vada secures the kill on House Spectre. They shut him down, so the movement of the Vici Gaming supports leaves Hal a little bit open, and Cloud9 do pounce on that opportunity.
And they immediately smoke, and this means that FY is probably going to get caught out here. He's the one that's going to tank this. Misery is in position. He doesn't have the mana for sleep. They might actually just turn this around.
Oh,
Misery's going to go down, and Vada's running forward, though.
Yeah, they're going to have FY easily caught out by Eternal Envy. The question is, can they get Super 2? Looks like a missed raise will ensure that Super gets back to the Tier 1 tower completely unharmed. So a simple one-for-one trade-off of supports. Not too big of a deal.
Yeah, I think they might be aware.
That's a big deal. They're going to have their heart stack taken away. Vada against who needs supports to stack your own jungle. You could just go into the enemy jungle and find some. Oh, call down actually laid out. Super's going to be slowed down. Cloud9 really wanting to find this one. Al's actually going to jump forward. He wants to go straight for Big Daddy No Tail, trying to catch up. Bone 7's coming inside, but Zone 2 is Ice. He's trying to finish up Big Daddy. Does manage to get it, but the egg, they're stuck in a bad position. Ice. He can't go anywhere. The egg's going to explode on him, stun him up, and Eternal Envy will close the distance, be able to get the kill in the end with the batteries. So now they're actually going to chase for more. How? He's going to drop incredibly low. One more right strike. No, the neutral keeps. He feeds himself away. Bone 7, one more right click as well, but they want Eternal Envy, and they will have him. Super. He's still finding this one out with Fenrir up against Misery. The sleep gets laid down. Farther away, Bottom's actually not coming over. He's too low to help out, so they're just going to be a kill on Fenrir. Big Daddy No Tail's here. Super realizes he's not getting away. Cloud9 get their vision and even up the kill score 8-8.
And that was so close. I mean, if you look at it, Bone 7's limping away. Same with Vada, just perfect team play to get themselves back in this game. At one point it was 5-1, but C9 evening it up 8-8. And the gold change alone is so staggering.
And that's, I think, one of the biggest things there we saw was Ice. You got to be really careful with your choice of cogs. He cogs at the same time that Fire Spirits hit him, and he couldn't go anywhere, right? He couldn't even get out of his own cogs. He was stuck there against that Phoenix Egg and resulted in a very easy kill for them. Vici Gaming, a little bit on the ropes here, especially with Hao not getting that much farm in lane. He's 39-12. Of course, he's even up with the gyrocopter. You look at Fada, he's much farther ahead. The difference, though, between, I would say, Eternal Envy and Hao is that Eternal Envy, he's actually been a part of a lot more kills than Hao has and hasn't died.
Yeah, Gyrocopter's just a hero that's going to farm faster, and he can participate in fights because of the rocket barrage, but Hao having this rough time is a lot worse for him than Envy being low in CS, because Envy eventually can't catch up, and I mean, that's reflected in the net worth as Hao is barely ahead of their Wisp, and it's honestly the product of this ward down here that's allowing them to spot for vision, that allows them to continue the dive because they can see when the TPs come in and make accurate decisions. From there, C9 just simply outplayed Vici.
Alright, the two-man gang squad, Ice, and Super, are looking for an opening right now. Ice, he sees Fada. He wants Super to get a little bit closer before he makes his jump, but now the range creeps are in the way. And he can't go for it. That two-man smoke not working out for them just yet. This is incredibly important. Ice has not had that good of an impact. He really needs a kill here, and they will jump on Fada now. All ready to jump in. Ice Blast explodes him, and Ice actually makes a quick TP away. No, Misery stops him. The egg will explode, and how? Oh no, he actually jumped to the egg. Now he's stuck, stunned up against 4 heroes. He will end up going down, even if Big Daddy falls him surely to the grave. A 2-for-3 exchange in the favor of Cloud9. Once again, they got a kill on Hao. So incredibly important to keep that Spectre down.
Yeah, and even in this mid lane, FY isn't quite level 6 yet, and you saw the difference that the levels on the supports made as Misery at the last second is able to Fiend's Grip up Ice, who, I mean, he had a monster start to begin this game, but has completely fallen back behind, and somehow Super is the first in net worth, which I'm not quite certain of. I think a lot of it just depends on the fact that they've been fighting non-stop, and he somehow just ended up on top with a few more crucial kills, but still, C9's game right now is they do have the better heroes for the late game.
Big Daddy and Eternal Envy gonna push back Hao. He tries to show his face in lane, and he's immediately threatened by Cloud9. Looking at this lower net worth for Hao, what item build do you really expect? It looks like he's going to go for the phase boots now, but it seems like a straight Radiance is just not a possibility here. Do we go for a tankier stats-based build like the Phase Drums SSY that we sometimes used to see in previous patches?
I think Phase Drums is a little bit too hard of a commitment for the mid game. I think just simply going for maybe even something like an Urn straight into the Radiance is a little bit better, because it's not like Drums is going to help him survive against anything that C9 has. Like the Rocket Barrage is still going to eat you alive. The chasing potential for the team is still going to destroy you, and so I'm a little bit concerned if he decides to go for the full-on Drums. He's probably not going to finish his Radiance by 28 minutes unless they start dominating fights, which I simply don't see. Like, the Gyrocopter does way too much at this phase of the game. Like, 8 to 15 minutes is the bread and butter of Gyrocopter.
Another smoke from Vici Gaming, just not finding the opening they're looking for. It seems like Cloud9 really know what's going on. You can see both Eternal Envy and Big Daddy No Tail sitting behind that tier 1 tower, knowing that Vici Gaming are looking for that gank. There's the only reason that Hao would be pressing so far forward.
Yeah, this is one of those ganks where you don't really care if you get a kill. The main point of it is, if you get a kill, great. If you don't, we're at least going to push the tower so fast that you can't respond. But C9 actually smoked up on their own. They're actually, for the first time in this tournament, actually going to defend this. And
the tier 1.
Really hard for them to hold.
It's into night range. They can't go for it. The glyph is already there. Bone7 jumps forward. He's got a supernova, and here comes Relocate. They're going to be in a good position, but no! Ice Blast and the nukes just wipe out 2 real quick. Ice is left for dead as double ultimates will explode him, but they got both Eternal Envy and No Tail there. Vici Gaming will be happy with the exchange, even if it does mean a denied tower.
Yeah, and if you're a C9 fan, for a brief second you were incredibly excited.
Why? He's going to grab body here. Line Strike Array is there, and even if they don't have Laguna Blade, they're still going to be able to have enough damage to burst down Fada. Hao joining in on the fun with his ultimate. Incredibly important kill as Cloud9 feel their core is actually taking a step backwards in net worth.
This is such a confusing game because it's like, okay, C9 probably have the advantage. They're going to relocate it behind. Vici completely predicts that. I mean, Fender is one of the most underrated players in Dota. Shoots his Ice Blast directly into the 2 relocating heroes. And then they still win the fight, but then Fada gets picked off right there, even with the mech. Vici Gaming have a little bit too much damage, and this is probably the most back-and-forth game right now that we've seen all throughout TI5. 13 to 12 in just 14 minutes.
Yeah, incredibly high-action game. Ice is going to be looking for another opening here. He had that kind of advantage in his 1 versus 1. It went so well for him. He needed to be able to establish tempo. Him moving around with Super, finding pickoffs, essentially just being this 2-man gank squad, getting kills all over the map to free up room for Hao to farm up, as well as potentially Fenrir, who looks like he may be going for a Hand of Midas now with the Gloves of Haste.
Yeah, you don't really need items if you're an Ancient Apparition because you're typically just not going to come to fights. You'll just fire off the Ice Blast, so it's better to just build as greedy as possible. I think that's actually reflected in the fact that AA has the highest KDA, just because he never participates in fights. Yeah. He's not meant to die. You don't get an abandon if you're AFK for 5 minutes. You're just going to sit in the middle of the jungle, throw your Ice Blast, and hope you don't get picked off. But something I do want to point out is Misery already has a 4-staff just 15 minutes into the game, and this will impact a lot.
Now, talk about item choices for Misery. What other items could he have gone for? I'm looking at like potential Glimmercade pickup would have been great against all this magic damage. Is the 4-staff just because the clockwork is sort of the extra factor that forces you to go for that mobility item?
100%. He's one of the best initiators, so if you can just take him out of the game by making his cogs a little bit more useless, it's going to make a big impact. But
there's that bottom staff coming into play with Relocate on top. Hao in serious trouble, and they don't even try and save him. FY, he's like, sorry buddy, you're done for. There's no support here. Vici Gaming unlikely to